The state television company of Western Armenia represents broadcast for today. Good day. The subject of the day with Grigor Amirzayan. On the eve of the Independence Day, the Pope Francis called on Yerevan and Baku to achieve peace. An earthquake in Kilikia. Eastern Armenia was elected in the international organizations where it has submitted the candidacy. The oldest cards in the world are located in Armenia. January 9 is celebrated the 100th anniversary of Sergey Parajanov. Grigor Amirzayan, deputy of the first convocation of the National Assembly of Western Armenia, reports in his microblog that on January 4, Armenian side responded to the proposals of the Azerbaijan on the peace treaty. They made an agreement that the demarcation commissions will meet at the end of January. You can watch Grigor Amirzayan's analysis on the subject on Western Armenian TV's on YouTube page. The question is still universal. Really, there was no war between Eastern Armenia and Azerbaijan. There was genocide committed against native Armenian people in Artsakh, a territory recognized as Armenian state by the Supreme Council of the Allied States in 1920 and belongs to Armenian nation. We ask Yerevan to stop this ridiculous camaraderie and put all the rights of Armenian people and Armenian state on the table of international courts. January 19, 2024 is celebrated the 104th anniversary of the de facto recognition of the state of Armenia in the territory of Western Armenia. On the eve of Independence Day, Western Armenian TV will introduce you to Western Armenian in its symbols. Flag of the state of Western Armenia. The flag of Western Armenia is one of the state symbols of Western Armenia. It is defined by the Constitution of Western Armenia and by the law of flag. The first law on the flag of Armenia was adopted by the National Council of Western Armenia on October 14, 2011. The present decision was adopted on October 5, 2014. The flag symbolizes the Armenian plateau as the cradle of civilization. The eight-pointed star symbolizes Aramazd, the father of Armenians. The infinite sun symbolizes the power of eternal light. Dark blue symbolizes the eternity of Armenian people. Apricot color symbolizes the eloquence of the Armenian people, Arianism and the vitality of creative freedom. Light blue symbolizes the enlightenment and the apostolicity of the Armenian people. White symbolizes the piety of the Armenian people. The flag was approved by the President of Western Armenia, Armine. Pope Francis expressed concern about the current tension in the South Caucasus and called on peace to Yerevan and Baku. According to Reuters, the head of the Catholic Church announced this during his speech addressed to the ambassadors accredited to the Holy See. Pope Francis also noted the need to preserve the right of the return of people displaced from Artsakh and called on to respect places of worship as well. In his speech, the leader of the Catholic Church also referred to the Ukraine conflict, calling on the parties to end the conflict through negotiations. This conflict cannot be allowed to go on and harm millions of people. We, in compliance with international law through negotiations, must put an end to an ongoing tragedy, said Pope Francis. An earthquake occurred in Armenia and Kilikia. The information is reported by the Department of Elimination of the Consequences of Natural Disasters. It was noted that the underground tremors were recorded at 12 o'clock on the local time. Armenia was elected to all international organizations where it nominated its candidacy. These are International Atomic Energy Agency Board of Governors Elections 2023, elections of the UNESCO Committee for the Protection of Cultural Property in Armed Conflict for 2023-2027, elections of the United Nations Commission on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice for 2024 and 2026, elections of the UN Commission of Narcotic Drugs for 2024 and 2027. Over a dozen rich burials have been excavated in Armenia. The most spectacular were those excavated in Lachashen on borders of Lake Sevan, where more than a dozen almost complete four-wheeled and two-wheeled carts, as well as two-wheeled chariots with spokes, were found. Two of these carts are in the National Museum of Eastern Armenia. The four strong wheels are made of 3 oak planks, and inside of it is covered with wicker. In her chronology, Beverly Davis describes on these carts as follows. These are oldest carts in the world, more than 4,000 years old. Wagons were also included in Professor Stuart Pigon's classic book, The Earliest Wheeled Transport. January 9 is celebrated the 100th anniversary of film director, screenwriter Sergey Parajanov. In honor of Sergey Parajanov's 100th birthday, Art Museum of Yerevan Brandy Factory opens its exhibition hall for the exhibition of Sergey Parajanov, Non-Stop Flight. The exhibition presents the photos of Yuri Mechitov, great artist Parajanov's friend, student photographer, including the famous photo flight. This photo takes a special place in the perception of the master's life and works and has an interesting history of his creation. It was done on May 15, 1981, and conveys not only Parajanov's facial image but also his creative mind. On the occasion of the 100th anniversary of Parajanov, a statue of Parajanov was presented to the public, which will soon find its place in the square adjacent to the cinema house, which will be called The Color of Pomegranate. You can watch the video about Sergey Parajanov on the YouTube page of Western Armenian TV. This was all for today. Goodbye.
Say